Welcome to another episode of Fridays with Dr. Frida. I am so excited to introduce our guest today. But before I go into that, I want to say thank you to our amazing sponsor of Vlad Pink. He is a local artist in our area. He can do any kind of custom-made paintings or anything you ask for. He's very Judaically based, but he's also open to all forms of artistry. And I also want to say thank you to all my clients. I know how hard it is for you guys to put up your testimonials, but remember, it's so important to share, because if you don't share, people won't know that there is a different form of healing, that they don't have to suffer, that they don't have to take pharmaceuticals. You don't know how many people I speak to consistently that tell me that they had no idea that there was actually a way for them to heal. They thought they would struggle forever because it's been 5-6 years and they've gone to every single professional available to them and they could not find the answer. So if you find something in any form, like in any profession, law, in physical therapy, in any profession at all, if you find something that works for you, don't be selfish. Share it with the world, because everybody deserves a chance to feel good. Everybody deserves a chance to get the proper help. So I want to thank the clients that, even though it's hard for them, a lot of clients come to me and they say, I'm afraid to get jinxed because I've been suffering for 5 to 6 years. I'm afraid to share this story because it's been so long since I've been looking for help and I don't want to share with anyone else, or I'm just not comfortable letting anybody know what my issues are. And they tell me that, but I tell them, listen, you are so blessed. God led you in the proper direction. God heard your prayers and helped you or your family member heal. You have to share it to help others. It's your duty. You really do. So I want to thank those that do go out of their way, that do care about others and do share. And now I want to introduce our special guest. Her name is Nina Khaimova. She is an estate planning attorney, and she is here to share her wisdom with us today. Hi, Nina. Welcome to our podcast. I'm so happy to have you here today. Nina actually also happens to be a really good client of mine, and I want to ask Nina first to introduce herself and then to let us know what originally brought her to me.
Hi, Frida. Thank you for having me here today. It's definitely exciting to be here. My name is Nina Khaimova. I'm an estate planning attorney. What brought me to you is actually very interesting, and I never thought that I would come to making that decision. With me personally, there wasn't anything that was alarming in my health that, made me feel like, okay, I have to go speak to Frida or another medical practitioner. It was more so, I'm a mom, I have 5 kids, thank God.
God bless you.
Thank you. And, in taking care of them and my family, a lot of times, moms, we don't put ourselves first. And so, but our health and if our well-being is not taken care of, then everybody else in our family is going to have the adverse effect, right? And so when I was having my kids and they were babies and like all the sleepless nights and all the caretaking that we have to do as moms, I was low prioritizing myself. And then recently, I just started paying attention to myself and I kind of started listening to my body.
I love that.
Even though we tend to disregard. And I think particularly in our age right now, thankfully our body is our ally.
Yes.
Right? It's kind of quick to cure itself.
But it doesn't last.
But it doesn't last. We also have parents that we see how age takes...
Things deteriorated.
And I kind of started thinking about it. If I don't start taking care of myself, although I think I'm already late probably, but if I don't start to take care of myself, when am I going to do it? When you got kind of into my spotlight, I was like, wait a second, let me listen to her. And I knew of you, but then eventually when I reached out, I think my first thing was my hair is falling out. Something totally, it wasn't really a diagnosis. It wasn't something that I would call as a serious illness or whatever. It was something very...
It was a sign.
It was exactly. That's exactly what it was.
Listened.
And then it was Frida, what do I do? And you gave me a whole system. Somewhere in there I said, hey, how do I upkeep the immune system of my family? Because I'm tired of staying home and curing everybody and praying that I don't get sick. But I got a whole system from you. And there wasn't an expectation of, okay, in a week I'm gonna feel like 1,000 times better. That's not what I was going in as a goal. I was going into this for like my long-term investment.
Longevity.
Health, because I mean, I can go on and on, but I think that the atmospheres we live in and the food that we eat, I don't think it's always a friend. And I think we definitely need something more in our system to help our bodies maintain its health.
Exactly.
I did not know where to go. And then, like I said, when you came up, I decided to give you a shot. And I'm grateful that I did, because you've been helping me, you've been helping my family.
Thank you.
I'm super grateful. Continue doing what you're doing, because I think you're the stories that I read, I'm blown away a lot of times. So,
you.
God bless you. Continue doing what you're doing, and I hope more and more people will get to benefit from you.
Amen. Thank you so much. Interesting that you mentioned that. Well, it's not interesting. It's very, very common, especially I think in our culture, that a lot of women, and I hear it so often because obviously I see these clients, they come to me for their kids, but they always forget about themselves. And then I say, well, what are you doing for yourself?
Right.
What are you doing to help yourself? And majority of the time, the moms are saying, oh, I'll take care of myself when everybody else is feeling better. I'm last. I have to first take care of my child. And then, but I learned through my own journey that you cannot pour to others if your cup is empty.
Exactly.
A lot of moms come to me already in their 50s, in their 60s, when they're completely broken down. So no, you're not late.
Okay, good.
They come to me in their 50s, in their 60s, in their 70s. I even have 80-year-old clients, right? And they are the ones that start advocating for themselves. And they say, oh my God, I gave all my healthy years to my kids, and now they're all broken down. They have no energy. They don't want to do anything in life. They kind of fall into a depression. And the depression is not because they're unhappy. The depression is because they don't feel good.
They're right. Sometimes pain, whatever.
If they're fatigued with lack of energy, constantly getting sick, people are stuck. They don't feel good. And so it's very smart to take care of yourself before that happens. I actually experienced that with my mom. She was an immigrant they all migrated from Uzbekistan, from Tashkent, and she never took care of herself. My mom was like a horse. She ran and ran and ran. She had 3 jobs. She went to school without knowing English. She became a nurse. She helped my father support our family, and she never took care of herself. And then when 50 hit, it hit her really hard.
Wow.
Yeah, and she was struggling for years until we finally got her back. It took me 2 years to get her into a good place.
Wow.
So, it's so important to take care of yourself. A lot of people take their health for granted when they feel healthy and they see small signs, right? Like the hair loss you're talking about. They see small signs and they ignore them. They're like, oh, it's okay. It'll go away on its own. It'll get better. They ignore these signs, and then what happens is it just starts piling on, and they're so busy taking care of everyone else, they don't notice until sometimes it's already, I wouldn't say too late, but it's already at that point that they really have to do so much work.
More, right.
And they come to me and they're like, well, what can you help me with? And I said, you know what? I'm going to be fully transparent with you. This is not a fast fix.
Yeah.
It's 2 to 3 years. Your body, how many years of damage did you put to your body? 2 to 3 years of really hard work, and then even up to a decade of work after me, things that you have to do on your own to keep getting yourself even healthier and even into a better place.
Right.
So when I tell them that, it's so eye-opening for them. They're like, wow, I did put so much damage into my body. It's so much, like, for example, if you had a car and you consistently treated it poorly, where would that car end up?
Right. Or if a house burned out and you have to rebuild it from scratch, right?
Exactly. So it's so important to take care of yourself, to notice the signs, to be really intuitive, to really care about the way that you feel. And of course, you're a very wise person, and I think a lot of it comes from also your profession and understanding about the whole health planning. So you're more into the estate planning, but that's technically our health as well, right?
Right.
But you understand the point of planning and preventing. Right. Instead of waiting for something to actually happen and then now dealing with the consequences of it.
Exactly.
So how comfortable are you sharing a little bit about your family?
As far as their health journey so
Yes.
far. So I'll start with myself.
Okay.
Ever since I started the supplements, I think I've definitely improved in my energy.
Beautiful.
Like, I had no idea what brain fog was. I didn't even know, like, it didn't even occur to me that
Until it
that's
cleared
a
up.
real thing. And I don't know if I should say this, but, you know, you forget people's names sometimes. I don't know if that has anything to do.
Yeah, of
and
course.
when I say people, I'm saying people that are close to me. Like, there's this moment where I'm trying to call one of my kids' names, and I'm like, so not that I forget their names, but it's like we're so
It takes you a minute to remember.
overwhelmed. Yes, we have so much on our minds, and a lot of times we dismiss it as normal. Well, I have kids, and I have a career, and I have a home, and I have this, and I have that. It's normal that I forget things, or it's normal that I'm like this, or it's normal that this hurts, or it's normal that my back hurts, or whatever it may be. So as far as how this has been helping me so far is definitely more energy. I used to feel fatigue all the time. There was no amounts of coffee in the morning that would fix it. I knew that I had to be on something, but I didn't know what I should be on. And even if I would like buy some supplement from, you know, a local, whatever, GNC or whoever, I had no guidance. Okay.
Yes.
And so what I like with you is, yes, I have my system. Yes, I have my supplements, but I also have a medical professional that I can ask questions, and you're great at answering them. They always make sense.
Thank you.
So that's one example, is I see improvement in myself. The other example is, and I hope it's okay that I'm going to go straight to it, your immunoaid. Not, you know, the best thing I've ever tasted, but the best thing that I've ever had to help with improving the immune response, I guess. If you, I mean, I don't want to get into medical terms. That's, you know, that's not what I want to do.
my territory.
Yes, but like, I was like, is this gonna help? And, you know, and then there was a week 6 months ago where all of my kids, it was like a domino effect. One got sick, the other one followed, and I'm like, oh my God, please, like, don't let me get sick, because if I get sick,
It's game over.
it really is. Like, as much as I would, you know, I have a great family. I have a great supporting husband. He's there for me, yes, but I just can't afford to get sick. And I gave the immunoaid to my kids, which I think sped up their recovery time.
Absolutely.
Okay. And while I was taking care of them, I was just taking it like a shot. I pretended that it's something that's like tequila or whatever helps. And I took it every single day. And then the minute I did have symptoms, because I was exposed to all of them, and this was such a virus that everybody I knew and their kids were sick.
Yes.
I did get sick, but my kids were going through their, you know, virus for like 2 to 5 days. I got sick, and I'll never forget, the next day I took the immunoaid, and then the next day I was back at work, and my 11-year-old looks at me and he's like, what? How did that happen? We were all in bed and out of school for a few days. You were just 1 day. And I'm like, well, you know, I had to explain to him, I don't have a choice here. I don't have an opportunity to be in bed. But I really have to, I don't think there's anything, unless my body just works in some other different way. I can't think there was anything else besides the immunoaid. Maybe there was, you know, higher being that we believe in, but
Of course.
I really think it was the immunoaid that helped me just snap back, and it really was just 1 day of being sick. And that 1 day that I was sick, it was not like everybody else. They were throwing up, they were fevering. I was not throwing up and fevering. I just really felt
Uncomfortable.
uncomfortable, like body aches,
Under the weather.
Nothing major.
Yeah, and this is what I tell people. That's the goal of the immunoaid when we created it, is the point of it was so that people don't get so sick, right? Really what propelled me to create it was my son. I am sure you heard the story. He had asthma when he was 2. And I just wanted something that, you know, somebody can take and just feel better right away and not have to feel terrible for days on end.
Right.
This is why what I tell my clients is that when they take it, yes, there will still be the viruses around. Yes, but the virus can feel like a little cold, or it can feel like a full-blown flu, right? It can feel like a cold or full-blown COVID with losing all of your smell and your taste, your senses. So to me, that's what I wanted. That's what I was looking for. And when it's a cold, you take it, and although you sound nasally, but there's not even any congestion.
Yeah.
So what I love about it for my family and the way I use it is I give it to my kids as soon as I hear anything at all. Like any kind of, or I see like anything coming out of their nose, I give it to them right away. I even give it to my baby, my 4-month-old. I started when he was 2 months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I really think it's important to let them taste it from a younger age. And that just saves me so much time. When my kids just wake up with anything and Mom, my belly hurts. Mom, I ply them with it, and I send them to school. I don't even worry about them. I don't even think about them. I don't even get phone calls,
That's amazing.
Like, yeah, your kid needs to come home. Your kid's not feeling well. I'm just like, they're fine. I give them Immunoid. They're good.
You're safe. It's like your security.
It is. And, we actually had a story recently. When I say recently, a few months back, my mom and my dad came from Arizona, and they ran out of everything. So I supply them, but they eventually run out, and they came out here, and I don't know what happened to my mom, but on the plane, she got so sick. She came and she had COVID, and she was at my sister's house, and my sister has 6 people living in her house, herself, her kids, plus like her help, and then my parents came, and there was 2 of them, and she calls me. She's like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Mom is so sick. I'm so scared. I said, you have the Immunoid in your fridge? She said, yes. I said, you know what? And I had actually just gifted her one for her birthday at that time. Nice. I remember. And she said, yeah, I have it. I said, you know what? Give it to everyone. And everyone took it in her family except her husband. And guess who got sick? Her husband was the only one that got sick. And even then, she made him take it that same day. And it was gone. It was gone after this day, just like you said. Yeah. But if you're really careful and you take it like right away, as soon as you feel any kind of sign, it really kills it right away. Because the virus, it replicates in your cells. The virus doesn't have its own replicatable ability. It replicates in your cells. It replicates in bacterial cells. So if you kill it right away before it has that chance to replicate,
that's why it slows it down.
It does not. It cannot. Like the immune system will attack it right away.
Wow.
Okay. And then just gets rid of it. But imagine now the virus had time, like a day or 2, to replicate in the body. It's stronger, and it takes a lot longer to kill it.
Okay.
So the point of the Immunoid is, listen, take it right away. Even take it, anytime I send my kids, I hate these trampoline parks, by the way, but my kids are kids, right? So anytime I even send them to these places, especially in the winter, people invite them to birthday parties or whatever, and you have to kind of send them because they're kids, they're going to resent you. I send them, and I just give it to them in that morning, or if I forget, I'll give it to them as soon as they get home, and nothing. I recently, because the year's ending, and Mother's Day and everything, have been visiting my kids at school quite a lot. So I see how disgusting kids are. Like they drop things on the floor, and they pick it up, and then they grab like their muffin, and they'll eat that, or they'll throw their backpack on the floor, and then they'll pick it up, and they'll take their water bottle, and they'll touch the straw, and then they'll drink out of that.
Or the water fountain in the school, they're all drinking out of that.
Or they're touching all of the rails as they're walking up and down the stairs. Yeah. And then they'll go and they'll take a snack and start eating that. And I said, oh my God, no wonder kids come home with this. We know this stuff, right? And we worry about trampoline parks when they're in school every day. Yeah. They're always around all of these viruses, are always exposed. Yeah, so especially in the winter when everybody was coming to my office and telling me that their kids have COVID, their kids have flu A, their kids have flu B, and every time I would hear that, or RSV, I would ply my kids with the Immunoid. I'd be like, you're safe, you're good, And I think this is what I was looking to create. Like, it's my, I want it to be every mother's, some single fathers also, but like every mother's secret weapon, of like not stressing and not worrying. So I know we actually had this discussion. What would you say to somebody who talks about, the financial aspect, the investment into their health? Because we both know that, natural medicine is not covered by insurance, not like pharmaceuticals, not like your medical doctors. So what would you say to somebody that was afraid to invest into their health? Because I know you took that step, even though I'm sure it's not the easiest thing for you to do as well. You have 5 kids, you have priorities, I'm sure, and you prioritize health for yourself and your kids. So what would you say about it to somebody?
I think that again, like when we are okay, I don't know if we're always 100% healthy because we don't know what's going on, right? And hopefully we are 100% healthy, but we take it for granted, and we shift our investment capabilities to other things that we want to have, not to things that we need to have. I know I sound like my third grader who's making projects about wants and needs, but it's quite basic, right? We need our health, and let this prime time in our lives where health is not, our bodies are not really showing it if there's something wrong. Yes, we might have the flu, we might have COVID, something that we know goes away after time. But we don't necessarily see things that might be dormant right now that might show up later. And so to that I say, even if you are 100% healthy and you think you don't need to invest, do it anyway. Because if you do it, at least you have that understanding that, I did the best for myself, okay? Instead of being on the flip side of it, oh, my hair's falling out. Oh, I'm feeling like fatigued all the time, or I'm feeling this, I'm feeling that, I'm feeling joint pain. And I mean, obviously, I think it goes without saying that you definitely have to speak to a healthcare professional. I always go to my sister, who's a physical therapist, and she's always helped me, right? As far as like my back pain or whatever. But I now have you. And so for me, it's like, it's not just me that I'm taking care of, and like you said, investing, it's also my family. It's prioritizing. I don't really want to say anything because I think that, I don't mean I don't want to say anything. I don't want to say like, don't buy this, invest in this instead. But yes, there are things, if we had to choose, personally, I would choose this investment over something else.
Absolutely.
I could give examples, but I just don't want to, maybe it's okay if I don't, have a certain designer brand, or if you will, or, buy top of the line, I don't know, designer clothes. I don't know, like maybe that's okay if I can invest and maintain my health and allow myself to spend there instead of something that I might desire but I don't need.
Right. And to come to that, a lot of people really don't understand that something like this, the Immunoaid, right, how much time it saves them. Like yes. That day, right? So I'm going to be completely transparent. This bottle right here is $500, right? This 16 ounce. And so this bottle right here, it saved you how many days of work?
You mean if I was out of work? Yeah. Right. Generally, if I'm sick, and my husband will confirm this, if I'm sick, I cannot be sick on my feet. I think there are people, they're sick, but they could still continue functioning.
Right.
I need to lay in bed for at least 2 days to gain myself back to normal. I didn't have to do that. I mean, knock on wood, I hope I never get sick the way I used to, but I didn't have to do that day. I'm trying to remember, I think I was on my feet. I just wasn't feeling 100%. So even that one day that I wasn't feeling well, again, to me, I knew, okay, it only makes sense that I get sick because I've just been exposed to 5 little ones who
are coughing and sneezing and vomiting on you.
I mean, and I'm cleaning after them and I'm giving them food. So it's like I'm constantly exposed to whatever it is that they have. And I know that sometimes I make this mental note. If I get sick, and I tell my husband, like, if I get sick, be ready, because you know how I get. So it didn't happen, okay?
None.
I was at work. I think it was also Thursday, so there had to be, Friday Shabbat prep. And that Friday, I was already feeling better. So the timing was just perfect. Otherwise, thankfully, again, I have like the best family.
You don't have time to get sick.
I don't, exactly.
I mean, I know because I have 4, and like, God forbid if I'm out of commission.
Yeah.
For any reason,
right.
Whether it's the back or the this or not, no way.
And I'll tell you something else. Isn't it better that, it's not a question, it's more like a statement. It's better that if I have the chance to, let me start over. When I get sick, I tell myself, okay, body, I get it, slow down, like alarms, blaring alarm, slow down. But now I'm of the mindset where why should my body break down to a point where I have to lay in bed for 2 days to prioritize self-care all of a sudden? So my self-care is like pushed into me through being sick. I'll take 2 days off. I'll
recuperate.
Why should I even be
not
sick?
Recuperate, but like take time for myself.
Take time for myself. I don't know, get a massage, go shopping, treat myself, whatever. Yes. So those 2 days that I have to lay in bed, I don't have to have that anymore. I hope that makes sense.
No, it makes sense. So exactly, it's not just supplementation. It's not just. It's also about just giving yourself, like filling up your cup.
Exactly.
Like doing, like you said, that massage. I go to get massages weekly. I do a wood therapy massage. She is absolutely amazing. A lymphatic drainage. And I've shared her before. I will share her again. She is absolutely awesome. What she does is just pulls out all of my lymphatic fluid, and I feel amazing.
Right.
And those are things we have to do for ourselves, right? Take the time and invest. It is expensive, but what isn't, right? I mean, we have so much going on. There's so many things, but not just for yourself. Think about, for me, it's not just when I don't feel good. I don't know about you, but for me, it's also about when my kids are not feeling well and they're at home and they're not letting me go do my things. They're sitting next to me, or I have to stay home with them, or that constant back and forth. I mean, thank God my husband and I don't have that, but I know a lot of couples do, of, hey, I make more money than you need to take off today. I need to go to work, or I can't take off. My boss is going to fire me. It's been too much now. I mean, 5 kids. I can imagine how many times you work for yourself, luckily, but there are people that have to work for somebody. And if you're constantly taking off because that kid is sick or that kid is not doing well, and you eventually lose that momentum, you lose that pay, and you can eventually lose your job. So yeah, it is a $500, but that $500 goes such a long way to helping your family, to being able to stay on your feet, to be able to go to work. I mean, it's one shot, and it lasts you this is about 3 years. Can stay in your fridge.
Well, I'm halfway through, but there's like 6 people on it. I also just want to add to that value. It isn't just $500. It's a significant amount, but I think it's reasonable, because I think that I didn't just get a bottle with a potion inside. I got a treatment system with your service of what to do. Okay, so it's kind of like a combination of product and service, where I didn't just buy something from the pharmacy, or I didn't fill a prescription to treat myself, but I also have a go-to who's going to guide me and tell me what's best, how to take it, how much to take it, how to give it to my kids. And you know this, I've asked you, like, how do I give it to my 3-year-old? When I gave it to him, he goes, what's this? So it's,
it's not just me being like that with you because I respect you as a professional. I'm like that with everyone.
Exactly.
Yeah. I always respond in a reasonable fashion, and it's if I cannot explain to you on text, I will always schedule a call with you, and I really try not to even charge for any of that. So yes, you're right. It is a service included with that.
Right.
It's so important to, I think right now our world is really leading to being able to contact professionals, to being on an on-call basis with them, because people have so many needs and questions. Like, I know accountants that are constantly, speaking to their clients, or I'm sure you constantly get, called or asked questions.
Oh, yes.
And I think it's so important for us to be there for our clients, for them to feel that value. And that's really what I try to provide together with my entire team. I'm not by myself.
Oh, okay.
but we do try to provide that. So thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Okay. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you. So how did your experience reshape the way you think about health and healing?
You know what? I think that health and healing is not always readily accessible, because the general thought process is, I have to make an appointment. And as much as I think doctors and physicians are very important, right? There is so many times that I pick up the phone to call a doctor to make an appointment, and that appointment is like months out. Unless I'm pregnant, or otherwise I have to wait weeks to be seen by a medical provider, which I understand. I get it, right? I really do get it. But I think that now that I have access to you, it's invaluable to me that I have someone to turn to. And again, like I said, my sister, Regina Khaimova, you also know her. She's the physical therapist in my life that I'm going to turn to. But like, I already had her on my team. She's helped me. She's healed me. But that's my sister. Yeah. Just like she would help me with therapy, I will help her with her legal needs, right? But everybody who's not related to me, I don't have a gynecologist who's related to me. I have to wait and make an appointment to go see them. So I think that's what shifted my thinking in, I need this resource. Where do I go to get it so that I get an answer quicker than generally we do when we're in need, even if it's just a checkup. If it's an annual checkup or a dentist, like, we make an appointment on the spot 6 months out. It's fine, it's okay. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but I like having someone readily accessible to me to help me with my health needs. Health is so important, and I say this to everyone. If we don't have health, nothing else matters.
100%.
Like, nothing else has any value. Health is so invaluable that if it's, we really take it for granted. Bottom line is, we take it for granted.
I'll give you an example, okay? For years I wore glasses.
Okay.
Right, and then I got a LASIK eye surgery. I was actually speaking about this with my little sister yesterday, who actually also happens to be my assistant. We work together, and I was telling her, I said, she's trying to get her own LASIK. She's looking into that. So we were sharing stories back and forth, and she said, well, how do you feel about it? I said, you know what? It's crazy, because like the first day, the second day, you're in awe, and then the third day, you take it for granted again. Like, you forget how amazing you have it until you come back to the present, and you're like, oh, wow, until you actually feel that gratitude again, because you're like, oh, okay, I remember I couldn't see, I had to wear glasses, and my vision was blurry, and then you remember, and you have this gratitude all over again. But until you think about it, you take it for granted. And I explained that to her. She said, wow, that really sucks, Why do we take these things for granted? Because we don't think about it. We woke up, okay, I got up, I started walking. How many people can't walk? How many people can't, move properly, can't wake up? Some people don't wake up in the morning, God forbid,
God forbid, right.
Oh, the fact that, and that comes into your territory. But, it's so important to not take your health for granted. A, yes, have gratitude, but B, remember that you're not a machine. And even machines break down, right? But
exactly, they break down.
Yeah. We have to take care of ourselves. We have to know where our markers are at, how to continue staying healthy. And a lot of times, sometimes I get calls from people and they set up a consult with me, and I say, I need to see your blood work. And they say, but I'm 100% healthy. I'm absolutely fine. And then I do a consult with them. And then I said, you know what? I still need to see your blood work. And they send it to me, and they have all of these things going on that they didn't share with me. And I said, you think you're healthy, but you're obviously ignoring the science. So you definitely have to look into your health, make sure you're staying healthy. And I think it's so beautiful, because I see the people that do care about that. I have patients that are 95, 96 years old, walking and driving on their own, because they took care of, in Russian there is a saying that you have to take care of your old age and your youth.
Exactly, yeah.
So I think that's so true. We have to make sure to take care of who we become when we're older right now. because it might be a future that we cannot see, but it is coming. I feel like what you and I do is very similar. In what way? I'll tell you, is because I have seen, especially with, I think, Chat GPT, right? You can literally get all these forms online. You can try to submit them yourself, but that's not something I would ever do because you don't know what you're actually doing. You didn't go to law school. You don't know what, I mean, like me, I wouldn't know what the heck I'm doing with those forms, right? I wouldn't know how to submit them properly. I wouldn't know if I'm writing something in them that's going to end up hurting my kids, hurting my family, or helping them. So I would just rather have somebody that I can turn to, ask questions, somebody to do it the right way and submit it the right way. And I think same goes with, me, for example. There are a lot of different products and supplements out there, right? And there's a lot of different things that people can do on their own, but are they doing it the right way? Do they even know what they're doing? Can they hurt themselves? Do they think they're helping themselves, but they're actually hurting themselves? For example, I had my hairstylist. We were talking and she said, oh, my hair finally started growing. I'm taking these B vitamins. They're amazing. I want to show them to you. What do you think? Looking at these B vitamins and I'm like, it has red 40 in it, right?
Yeah.
And it has yellow 6 and it has all these different things in there. And I said, don't take this. This is so bad for you. I know it's saying vitamin B, but not every vitamin B is created equal. And she was shocked. She said, no wonder I started having brain fog. Because she started having more hair growth.
Right.
But she started having brain fog. So people think, oh, I'm feeling something is improving. They see an improvement, but they don't see what kind of negative effect it could have that they're not doing it properly or taking something that's not actually good for them. And I think that's the same thing with you, is that people can go, and I've seen these forms, people have offered them, oh, just take this form, that's all you have to do. And the fear of, hey, it needs to be done properly.
Yes.
This is not a joke.
Yes.
This is not just something like that I can do on a whim. It has to be done the right way because it's concerning my family. It's concerning things that are important to me. And I think same thing with health. A lot of people, and I give these free consultations, and a lot of people hear what I have to say. They hear that I tell them, oh, you got to take the vitamin D3 with the K2, you got to take the B12 with the folate, you got to take the magnesium. And I know some people are like, oh, why do I have to buy anything from her? She just gave me, the keys to everything I need.
Right.
Why do I need her for? I'm just going to go and buy it. And then they go buy it and they don't have the same results and they say, and then they come back to me and they say, oh, but I have all this stuff. It doesn't help. I said, no, try my stuff, try what I'm giving you. It will help you. And they come back afterwards and they say, yes, you're right. It did help. And it's not only the products that I'm giving them, but it's my knowledge, right? It's how much they need to take. Right. So somebody, for example, omega, somebody that's healthy is going to be taking a lot less than somebody, let's say, with heart issues, or somebody that has, pain maybe in their back or in their leg. I'll be giving them a flooding dosage that I know is okay for them to take, but they're not okay with taking it on their own because on the bottle it only says 2 capsules. Right? How will they know? And then it never helps them. But if I give them the dosage that needs to be given, they suddenly feel better. But that's why you need a professional to tell you. And same thing with you. You need somebody that will guide you and tell you, hey, I don't think you want to choose this person as your guardian. I think it would be better for you to go this way. This is going to be a pain in the butt afterwards where you have to fix this. And this is not going to work like that. You have to do it like that. It's good to have somebody to ask questions because we can't study all the fields in life, right? You studied law. You can't also go and study health. I mean, you can, but you have 5 kids, and do you really need to when you can talk to a professional than investing another 12 years of your life into studies, right? So same thing goes. And that's where I think it's really connected. How would you really connect, estate planning and wellness?
Well, I'll respond to what you said. I think it's all relative, right? Like I'll go to, pharmacy, CVS, and I'll pick up whatever supplement is on the shelf and it says immune support, and I'll be like, yeah, I got it. I'm gonna go home and take it and expect to, not get as sick as I used to. But nobody's guiding me. Nobody's telling me what to do. So I paid, I don't know, $8, $10, and okay, great, that's great.
no point
but
in it.
okay, like what did it do? So, and the added bonus of having a professional attached to the product, it's, what I need to take. I cannot make that determination because I don't know what I need. I need the professional to guide me. Same thing with, if my client is insistent on, well, why do I have to pay a lawyer to do this? I now have ChatGPT that can put together a document for me. I can Google the instructions, and I could probably watch a YouTube video with an attorney explaining the proper execution of a will and all of these other documents. So I can take, the conservative financial way around it. To that type of client, I say, sure, but here are your risks. Okay, 100%. So I took the risk of paying $10 for some sort of immune support supplement, and I took on the risk of not knowing exactly what's going to happen, of not knowing if this is the dosage that I need, and of not knowing if this will help me at all. Versus I choose Immunoaid with Frida, she tells me the dosage, she tells me how much, I tell her my symptoms, she tells me, if I need to take 30 ml versus 5 ml, I'm not going to know unless I have you guiding me.
Right.
So the same thing here. And not that I want to single anything out, but I do probate and administration as well. And I see the back end of it where there's a will that was done without an attorney. And I see what's happening now, post-death. And I have to turn to the family and I have to say, well, look, first of all, we'll be lucky if the court takes this and says, all right, fine, we'll consider this as a will, even though it doesn't pass the requirements of a will.
Terrible.
Again, this is because they choose not to do it with an attorney, right? Back to my point of better something than nothing, but that something has to be effective too. And so
this is something that I think really is a priority, whether it costs $4,000 or $10,000 to do. I don't really know the costs. We are going to do it, Nina. I promise you. I know we've been talking about it since a while, and I've been wanting to do it. I just haven't really gotten around to it because I'm busy recording and everything.
Prioritize, Frida.
Right, I know exactly, priorities. But we all think we're invincible and immortal,
which is fine, but it's not true.
Exactly. So what I was saying was that we really have to make sure to do it properly and pay, even though it might seem like a large fee. But I mean, some people have $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, $5 million, $6 million to their name, and for $10,000, for $4,000, whatever it is, the price is, I'm not sure. But for that amount to be able to possibly lose out on that big portion to be able to give to your, like a legacy to your kids, to your family,
to take care of it.
I think, to me, I don't want to offend anyone, but it's just plain stupidity.
It's worth the investment.
It's definitely worth the investment, and it just like I would say health is. And you were saying something really interesting about the health and being the present. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
I think what I was, if I understood you correctly, I think what I was mentioning before is the trend that I'm seeing with my clients is they feel the sense of urgency to plan and to create an estate plan when they're aging and they're getting older and their health is kind of showing signs of deterioration. And so on my end of it, like I mentioned, Medicaid planning is something that a client in their late 50s would do. But what I was saying is, why do we have to wait? It's the same idea with you. Why do we have to wait for signs of health deterioration to start maintaining and upkeeping our health by taking the proper supplements? Yeah. Why wait until later on in life when we can take care of it now? So no, God forbid, the plan is not to go anywhere in our 30s and 40s. The plan is to stay here and raise our kids and marry them off and give them an education and do it all while we're all standing on our feet 100% healthy. But in that, half hour, an hour before my vacation with my husband, that I felt that, what if? And I think I feel it every time I go away on vacation, but I felt that what if, and we're in our 30s, I took action and I did my will. I don't want it to be that I didn't do that will, and that 5% what if likelihood of what if happening, I didn't take care of that. I didn't protect my family against that risk.
Yeah.
I like to use the example of life insurance because I think it's a very important tool. I think
We started with life insurance already.
Right. Well, yes, right.
We already got that.
It's there you go. So I did it for myself. It looks like you did it for yourself. But why did I do it? I did it because if something happens to me, my kids are taken care of.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
And so it's like if I already have that pattern of thinking, it's sort of like a package. It's sort of like a package. It goes hand in hand.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a package deal.
Exactly. By the way, for those who have done life insurance, they know they have to go through a health screening.
Yeah.
Right? And if there is some sort of chronic or some sort of medical history, I'm not talking about like a flu or whatever. I'm talking about consistently being seen by a doctor. Something is going on.
Go far. They go deep.
They'll go deep, and if there's something persistently going on and you're being seen by a doctor, you're not going to be a candidate for life insurance.
Yeah,
you're likely to be denied.
Even if you have like, a cancer risk because of your family history, right?
Yeah.
They check to see if, you had sick parents, if your parents died from cancer, if it was genetic and it passed on from their parents.
Right.
They check everything. It takes months for them to finally approve it.
To approve you.
Yeah, so staying healthy and getting a good life insurance plan is definitely the key.
Yeah, and then you're healthy. Great job on that. You got yourself life insurance. You're now protecting your family financially from D-Day, right? The day that you pass. But where's your estate plan? How can you do one and not the other? It's like one hand washes the other. You can't.
It's two parts of the same whole.
I don't recommend it. If that's the route you want to take and you have your estate plan according to what New York State pushed on you, fine, but I don't recommend it. New York State laws change.
Especially where the kids are concerned, like putting them through the system, making them wait when they could be with their family, they could be with their loved ones.
It's a scary topic, and a lot of people don't want to talk about it. And back to my point, why not plan early on? And you can always, and that's the thing, when you're planning later on, a lot of the clients in their 50s, they have to do what's called an irrevocable trust, which you can't change easily. We don't need an irrevocable trust unless there's a situation that requires it. We could do the revocable trust,
Right.
transfer our primary home so that it doesn't have to go through probate or anything. Get ourselves whatever life insurance you chose to. Get a guardian designated in our estate plan. That way our kids have a home to live. They have a guardian that we chose, okay? And it's taken care of. Now, obviously nothing is 100%. We have to have that, God factor in it. But if you already do 90% of the planning, don't you think you're in a better position than you would have been had you not done anything?
1,000%.
And I think that it's such a disservice to our kids if we don't do it. I think that if the situation happens and we haven't taken those steps, we've just put our kids in a situation that I don't think we would have ever wanted them to
It's
be.
really jeopardizing, I think.
It is. And having said that, I think estate planning is not just for elder law care. It's not just for special needs care. It's really everyone should do it. Every single person should have an estate plan and update it every year or so. I mean, I need to update my will because, like I said, when I
You're
did
your
it,
fifth kid.
we had 4 kids. Now I have, thankfully, 5 kids. So, and plus now that I'm doing more and more and more of this, and I'm getting older and my family needs are changing, I'm already thinking, all right, so I'm not going to just have a will, I'm also going to do a trust for my family. If I'm going through this, then you're going through this. This is a very relatable process. It's an individualized process. Every single person is different in what they need.
Yes.
which goes the same to what you're doing. What you've given to me as far as my health plan is different than what you'll give to somebody else.
Every single time.
Right? Same way, if I'm planning for you, it's going to be different than my planning for your parents, however it is. So it's very individualized, it's very custom based. I discourage ChatGPT. I just think that it's a great tool for what it's there for. I wouldn't rely on it 100%. We can do it yourself, a lot of things nowadays, given the tools that we have out there. I don't think this is one of those things.
I agree with you 100%. I don't think your health or, any kind of maybe tax planning, doing, what you do, estate planning, trademarking, things that, your life is really dependent on those things. I don't think any of those things are worth playing around with, even though we do have AI. AI is great, but I think people really need to understand that they are only jeopardizing themselves by trying to save a few dollars, because nothing could replace that knowledge that, especially you sound like somebody that really takes time to educate herself. Since you only had like you said, one class in estate planning, I'm sure you had to take multiple courses and continuing education to be able to know what you're doing, have mentorship, have guidance. You can't take that away from someone.
Right, and ChatGPT won't give that to you.
Never.
Yeah.
Yeah, never.
Yeah.
That won't exist at all. So do you feel that your wellness journey has influenced the way you support your legal clients?
So I started out by saying that I think that my career, anytime I get some sort of an email from my bar association or whatever, there's always that one tab, lawyer wellness. And I'm always like, but I'm absolutely fine. Or substance abuse or whatever. Obviously people, have substance abuse issues because they need a way to, whatever it is, to alleviate
their stress.
And so I think that I've definitely chosen a profession that is a high stress level profession.
Yes, you have.
I don't regret it one bit. I like a challenge. And on top of that, thankfully, I have a family that I have to take care of. So these two major, things in my life, I'm very family oriented. That's just part of my values. And I'm also career driven. And I'm not stepping away from that.
You're not compromising one or the other.
I'm not. I mean, I commend stay-at-home parents. I admire them.
It's a harder job.
It is.
What you and I both do together.
It absolutely is. I like to say that it's therapy to be at work sometimes. But it is a high-stress job, and it's certainly caused a level of anxiety at times. It's caused a level of just like feeling down sometimes, or even sometimes coming home and having had such a difficult day that if I'm like irritable and I'm reacting a certain way, my husband looks at me and he's like, something happened today. So it's definitely something that I carry with me, because like I interact with people and their problems and they expect me to come up with a solution. So there's definitely that pressure,
of course,
to come up with a solution. Sometimes it's an obvious one, which is great, and I'm the person that tells them that, and it feels
makes
liberating.
You look like a hero, right?
I hope so, but a lot of time, and with estate planning, I'm working with families. This is a very sensitive topic, and so I think that being kind of the sponge of receiving that and listening to people and trying to assist them the best way possible. A lot of times I do tend to carry it with me, and it does, like I said, I started to listen to my body. It does affect me. And then there's that physical reaction. So I'll feel anxious, right? Or I have a court date, and it might be like the most routine court date, but that anxiety, I have to present, and I have to speak to the judge, and I have to explain the case, and I have to do it in a way that is most favorable to my client. All of that is very anxiety provoking.
Yes.
And so when that anxiety starts to flare up, I feel it physically. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so while I want to grow in my career and I don't want to, quit, I have to, in order for me to continue doing it, I have to stay healthy. And again, it comes full
Sometimes
circle.
you have to take a step back to go 2 steps forward.
Absolutely. And that's, again, part of why I said to myself, all right, I have to do something. There's nothing major going on. There's nothing chronic, thank God. I have to do something. And that's how I would tie it in with between like my career and doing what I do for my clients and keeping myself well, and not just myself, my family. So
can I share something with you that I learned from somebody very dear to me? She taught me, I also, like you, I take a lot of people's emotions and their problems and how they feel onto myself. I tend to feel my clients' pain so much. I even come to tears when they feel a certain way. I feel it with them. For example, when you wrote that review, it really brought tears to my eyes because what your child said to you, I was amazed. I said, wow, I think that something like this is so extraordinary that a child would feel that way to say that to their mom. And this is why, I learned this one way to really close up this chakra right here in your heart, to not allow your emotions. I still kind of suck at doing it because I'm just an
is there
emotional
a way
human.
to do it? Because I
So
always
she
feel
taught
that
me
pressure here.
Exactly. She taught me how to do it so that way you don't suck on people's energy, their pain and everything, right? Where you can be still empathetic. You just don't have to feel that pain together with them. And what she said to do is you close your eyes and you imagine that there's a zipper right here, right?
Okay.
And then that you are zipping up your chest like that. The area where your heart is, you're just zipping it up. And you start talking to that person. So before somebody comes in, you really, and I think this is going to be beneficial to a lot of professionals out there, especially if you're an emotional human like me.
Yes.
And
I
you,
agree,
obviously.
yes.
We take things upon ourselves because I think we're moms and we genuinely care. We know that things that people go through, when people come to me with an issue with their child and I see somebody going through something, it really hurts me because I think, wow, what they actually have to go through. I can imagine, I had somebody share their story with me yesterday. The mom was telling me how her child was throwing up in the middle of the night and suffocating on her throw up and how she thought she was going to lose her. And it brought tears to my eyes because I'm thinking, oh my God, just imagine, like the imagery was there instantly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, this person, like her life has changed now. And that really brings emotions to my eyes. So I really need to, close that off sometimes. I don't always get to do it, but I think that's something that could be helpful. I do that sometimes when people come in to see me and I just don't want to feel that pain. I close it up and it really works. Try it out.
Okay, I'm gonna keep trying that. Thank you.
It takes more and more practice. So, what is peace of mind to you? What does it mean to you, peace of mind?
Healthy kids, a good relationship with all my family members, knowing that everybody's okay, knowing that everybody's safe. I mean, we can bring that back into what we're doing. We spoke about health and how you can help. I think back to like estate planning is that a lot of people tend to push it off unnecessarily. It's like, well, let me wait for this. Well, let me wait for that. And every time I get a client through the door, I tell them, we don't have to think that way, but we're doing this as if something would happen tomorrow. What would you want to take care of? What would you want, because you can decide that now, you have control over it.
Can you share a story with me that you're like super proud about in your career?
In my career, there's nothing specific. It's not like, oh wow, a lot of people think that victory in court, I got my decision or I won that trial. I mean, it's true about our line of work, but I think it overpowers what we really tend to do. I think that I'll keep it general. A good story is when I have a family and let's say it's parents and they have adult children and there's maybe friction. And then we start planning, and I always tell families, have that family meeting, especially if your kids are adults, have that family meeting. If you have minor kids and you are designating a guardian, have that meeting with whoever it is that you want to take care of. Like, have those conversations. There's nothing wrong with that. And
It's such a scary thought, honestly. Like, I know I have siblings who I trust, but they have their own families,
Yes.
you know? Like, it's such a scary thought that you have to give your child to someone. Will they be able to handle it? Do they have the mental capacity? I mean, financial capability is fine. We have that life insurance, right? All that stuff to help them raise our children. But still, mental capacity, that ability to, you know, be a mom, be a dad to your child. It's such a scary thought. Sorry for cutting you
No,
off.
I'm glad you said that, because that's what deters people. And it's almost like, they're not going to say it, but it's almost like, I'm invincible. I'm not going to go anywhere. Nothing's going to happen to me. I don't have to do this right now. Push this off, push this off. And I'm kind of like, I said to myself recently, knock on wood, nothing should ever happen to me until 120.
Amen.
I always say 120 instead of death. I think it's more empowering. But I'm on the road every single day. Every single day I'm driving. I've had 3 car accidents in my life. Most of them were not my fault, okay? So those car accidents, while minor, they're a little bit like, you have a moment of what if, right? So anything can happen. And when you mentioned, can you tell me a success story? The most common success story that I have is that clients feeling at the end of it, I took care of this, I feel so much better. They might not have felt that great going through the process, because like you mentioned, it's not pleasant. It's not pleasant to think, who's going to take care of my kids if something happens to me? It's not pleasant to think, if your kids are older, who's going to get that one asset from me? Am I dividing it among all of them? Am I giving it?
How do I split this up properly where they can, I guess, find a way to be happy, right?
And all agree, and that I'm not doing anything that disadvantages one over the other. These are not pleasant questions. But again, take the flip side of it and imagine these questions are getting answered when you're not here. Mm-hmm. I don't want to be in that situation personally, and that's why, where you say, you know, that anxiety, that like pressure in your chest, yes, we feel that. But then that, it's like a thrill ride at the end when I'm like, oh, this is over and I did this for them, and they're happy and they have a plan and they feel better about it and they feel relief having done it. And
they'll all be relieved when I do it.
Yes, let's get to it. I'll give you another example. Is what's common in our community is a lot of people don't know about it, or many people heard about it. They don't know exactly how it works. And I've had relatives ask me to help them with this, some because there was a need, some because they were just being proactive. And I'm just so happy that while people are learning about it and getting to know that there is this tool of estate planning, and they're taking the proactive steps of creating one, there's still people who just either don't know or push it off or just literally make the conscious choice not to do it. What I always say is, I'm very happy of where I come from, where I say it outright. I'm proud to be a Bukharian Jew. I'm proud to be an American, and I'm proud to be an immigrant, because all of that has put together so many values, thanks to my parents, have put so many values into me that I can now shift it and help my community. And our community has succeeded in so many ways.
Yes.
They only immigrated about 20, 30 years ago. It's not that long ago. Mainly our parents are starting to age. We're in that mature stage in our lives where this is important. And you know, one of the things that I did was I created a plan for my parents. I have a plan that I want to change for myself and everybody around me. I'm talking to them because it's so important. And now I'm starting to mention Frida and what Frida does. And you know, those who are open to listening, there's more information to learn. And I think that you're valuable. Your approach is very different than what I'm used to.
Thank you.
I know it's not. I know right away you don't think, well, health and wellness and estate planning, how does that go together? Like, I get it. We die. You know, we got a plan and all of that. But it does go hand in hand. It's planning. It's having that ability to exercise your control right now
over your life, over
your health before crisis.
1000%. You were absolutely right. It's so important. Oh, I have to get on it.
Let's put something up and we'll
Food
talk.
for thought. Okay, so I really want to say thank you for coming out here. Thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, you're always welcome here. I really appreciate this. We learned so much. Continue sharing what you have is very necessary for people to know about. Don't ever be shy to share. Tell us everything that you need to tell us. Continue to make content for us. You are amazing.
Thank you.
And we will be out now. So thank you so much for everyone that has been listening. And I hope you learned something very valuable today. Thank you, Nina.
Thank you, Frida.